Welcome everybody on Virtual Escape Slovenian Sunrise Hike. I'm Manca Licen, I come from Slovenia and I'm hiking enthusiast. So where is everybody else from? Hello to Sydney and Germany. Hello Frida. Unfortunately, we were supposed to be today on Ratitovec and I was supposed to broadcast from there, but the weather conditions were not possible, so it was not safe for me to go. So my motivation to go hiking is basically to escape from my everyday obligations because I have quite stressful days and a lot of work, and which can't make sense to some people is that it actually gives me more energy and not less, that it would be first thing to think. Basically, I reset myself in mountains. I also push my limits because I have to conquer some of my fears sometimes. I also go on higher mountains than, for example, like a year ago. I connect myself with myself, and while doing sport, which is healthy, I also get a chance to explore the nature and see amazing views all around. And now I will share some of my views and hikes with you. So I started walking. Basically, I found my passion in walking a few years ago, actually in 2012, when I was in university, and it was like a bet because I was sure that I won't pass a chemistry exam. So I said, if I pass chemistry exam, I will go from my hometown to Brezje, probably 15 kilometers away from where I live. But I was so confident that I won't pass the exam that I said, no, 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 not to Brezje, I will go to Strunjan. So that's on coastal region. And basically, as we can see, I passed the exam because I had to walk, the plan was to walk around 145 kilometers, but we ended up with the hike, which was not the hike altogether, but we did it in few days, for approximately 166 kilometers. So here are some images from that beginning of mine. When I mentioned that we had to do way more kilometers that we planned, it was mostly the reason that we were getting lost because some trails were not marked. So we can see on the image below, the right one, it's the sign basically to somewhere. We don't know where, but on left one, it was just properly marked path. So the top middle image, it's my backpack. So back then we had to carry a lot of stuff with us because on some trails we didn't have time to eat, not time to eat, but locations to eat. There was no restaurants, no stores for 20 kilometers or so. So we had to carry also a lot of snacks with us. The most usual hike for me is Sveti Ošt nad Kranjem. It's 845 meters above sea level, and it's really easy hike. So that's basically my weekly hike that I do when I don't have much time, because I do it really quick. It depends which trail I take, and if I walk with my dog or alone, and then I decide based on that, if my dog is with me or not, which trail to take, because I can do just short, easier ones with my dog. So the easier ones are usually also longer. It's very appropriate for for families with kids because it's easy. It's also accessible by car. And for me personally, it's not my favorite hill to do because it's super crowded, because it's accessible for everyone. So on weekends, there can be hundreds of people, but I like it because it's really time efficient. So I can do it between my works. If I have like 1 hour and a half of free time, I just go up and down. Sometimes it's really good motivation in the morning, like today, for example. I haven't drink my coffee yet, and if I was free now, I could go there and order myself a coffee. So now some views, even if it's easy hike, it offers really good views. So behind we can see Škofja Loka hills. It's a group of hills. They're all mostly lower. They're not so high, not much above sea level, but that's relative. So I think that this is actually close to the sunset. This is just one probably around late afternoon or something. And it's actually, now I notice it's actually not from Yost. I put in this picture with the reason it's the same hill group as Jost, and it's really close to Jost, but it's closer to Škofja Loka, and this hike, it's really easy and really quick. This is the one that I do when I don't have time at all. So planning the hike as a beginner, I am quite precautious when planning my hikes. First, I choose the right hill and mountain, which means that I have to do a lot of research. And always when choosing the mountain, I am concentrating basically on my fitness level and experience, because not all hikes are appropriate for everybody, and especially not for someone who's beginner. I'm even not beginner. I am actually doing more difficult mountains now, but I think that through all the time when you're hiking, everybody should choose the paths that are appropriate for their fitness level and their experience. So basically, when I mention the research, I usually search some of Slovene sites. Slovenia is quite good for doing hikes because it's somehow national sport. So we get a lot of information on web pages. There are also, like, I like to do when it's totally new mountain, and if I see that it could be some parts where the hike is not so easy, that it's a bit more, that could be a bit more advanced. I also like to watch videos on YouTube of the trail itself, if it's possible, because not all trails have that, because it depends. Some people post them, so it depends on where they have been. It's always important to check the weather, because if there are thunderstorms, it can be fatal, because if you're, for example, attached to the Via Ferrata, it means iron path. If there was a lightning, it would hit you. So it's high chance to die in that case, but that's extreme. Actually, even rain is not pleasant, snow is not pleasant. So it's a lot of reasons why weather is actually important. And this is also the reason why we hadn't gone to the Titovec today, but we will see pictures from it later, because it was raining all night. So before the hike itself, I prepare my backpack. I always, always prepare myself water, some snacks, different layers of clothes, and rain clothes in case of the rain, because weather forecast seems not to be so secure. It's not always as it's written or how they report. So it happened to me that I got caught by rain. I often take with me a blanket, just if I would need some additional warm thing. Like for example, on picture on left, it was the case when I didn't dress accordingly to weather conditions. I was just, we expected really high temperatures. So I just took with myself windstopper and different clothes with long sleeves, short sleeves, and then it was windy, but the wind was super cold. So it's also good to have a first aid kit with you, because that can come convenient. You can cut your leg on some rock or something. Things happen. So luckily I hadn't need that so far. Um, Besides that, it's I adjust my luggage for hike based on what kind of trail will that be. I sometimes I like to have additional clothes to change, but when packing, I always take care that it's still light package, so that it's not heavy and rough on my back. Nowadays, I also pack climbing harness and via ferrata kit. Sometimes also hamlet, but usually I don't have much space in my backpack. But if I go on something that is more risky, I definitely take my hamlet with me, because those things are quite heavy. So when going to mountains on my own, I will always inform somebody close to me where am I, just in case that something could happen. Because in mountains you're never really safe. Even if it's easy hike, you can fall, not downhill or something, but you can slide and hit your head or something. So even if it's ultra easy, it's super important that you take care and keep yourself precautious. So that's why always somebody should know where you are. But that's even easy nowadays because we have phones mostly. So, but as a beginner, it's actually not suggested to go to mountains on your own, especially not the ones that you don't know. So I try to go on new mountains always with someone who I call my hiking partner or partners. But when choosing that person, it's good that that person has some experience for that trail, and that is patient. Patience is crucial, because it's if somebody is super fit, basically running on that mountain, it can be physically difficult. For example, myself, if I was with someone super fit and I would feel pressured, so I would try to walk faster or climb faster than I'm actually capable of. So that's why is walking with somebody who's patient really important. So now we are starting with the views of a bit more higher, but not so high. So Velika Poljana, during Corona time, it was the only mountain that people from my municipality got to, and that it's located in Kamnik Savinia Alps. It's 1,410 meters above sea level. On the photo, we see the view on not on the mountain itself, but basically on the mountain that is next to it when we're walking towards the peak. So this is the view from Velika Poljana. Here, where the photo was taken, is also pasture. There's a hunters and shepherds cabin, and it's a great location to proceed to different mountains around. So it has really good spots with different levels of hiking. So it's great. So if you have a lot of time, there are many options to proceed the hike. So on left, it's descent towards the valley, a part of it. This one, it doesn't look steep, but it actually is, because here's some kind of bench to rest, but there's a vertical down. So and the pathway below is actually quite lower than this point. So on the right, it's another photo from when we were descending the mountain. I don't have many photos from mountain itself, unfortunately. But it's really nice because there are so many paths to go on it, so that it's possible to get also a pet for a family with kids, not just people that are a bit more active in hiking. But because it's so many pathways, it's also easier to get lost and do few more walks more. Kriška Gora, this one is one of my favorites. It actually is kind of my favorite ones because I go there probably each week once at least, and it's 1,471 meters above sea level. It's also part of Kamniško-Savinja Alps. On top, it's also a lot of pastures. It also has Kriška Gora hut, where hikers can grab some food, drink some coffee. And I like it because from Kriška Gora hut, you can reach to various peaks of Kriška Gora. So if you see on the right, there are signs for Tosti Vrh, Velika Poljana, the one that I was talking to you about before, Dom pod Storžičem, Storžič, and Vrata. So if you have good weather conditions, a lot of time and energy to proceed, it's great to explore further. So I really like it because of it, and I already did some exploring there. So it's, for me personally, my favorite one that is close to my home, and it's also a bit higher than Jost, about which I was explaining before. So my first hike to Kriška Gora was interesting because I was promising my friends great view, and they didn't want to go, and I convinced them somehow that it's super easy hike, that everybody can do it. It's actually true. but I was also promising great views. And when we started walking, we entered directly to the fog, which was up to the top. So here's some forest. On the right, there are a lot of broken trees. A few years ago, there was some kind of natural disaster in Slovenia, so we lost a lot of forest due freezing, so trees broke. So now the nature itself, it's a bit different and it's regrowing. So this is trail up, still photos of the trail. And on the way up, there is really nice nature, in my opinion. There are usual small bushes and small pine trees, but on top, it's really beautiful, peaceful forest in which one are growing trees similar to that one on the right. That is actually the photo of my favorite tree. So the view on my first hike there was like this. So it was basically fog. I was only imagining what's around me. I was imagining how the views are. It was just my imagination working, because we couldn't see anything. It just looked like a golf court, and that's it, just short grass and nothing around. But when we were returning, the trail was wet. It was really not a good choice to go, but we got to see this beautiful blue flower, Intian. So at least we saw something, but it was still unforgettable hike. Usually on the days when it's sunny, the trail looks like that on the right at some parts, but on left it will, if you focus, it's the glider, so the airplane, and I saw that for the first time so low about my head that it actually made me scared, and I was on my own and I didn't know what is going on about my head, because it was just some kind of whistling. So that was actually the first time that, and I hope that the last time, that I have panicked in mountain when I was alone. So I had to calm myself down so that I could proceed safely. So here's still the pathway and the nature around it and the plain. So that's the forest that I was explaining about before, with interesting trees on top. And here's the view that I could only imagine the first time that I was here. And since I know the view, I even like it more. So basically we can see whole Ljubljana Valley. We can see really far if it's after rain and sunny. So if vision conditions are good, so it's really worth to visit the mountain, but it's not so easy. So this is the flag on top. It marks the top itself. And here we have a video of the glider, who's now actually below me, like lower than I am. So I hope that it was visible. So once when I was on Kriška, I proceeded further. That's the thing that I was explaining before about various peaks that you can visit. And on my way, I saw the beautiful crowd of sheep that weren't bothered by my visit at all. They actually didn't want to move from the path. So this is still the same trail. And this is the view from Vrata. It's the, I will, okay. Yeah, Vrata is the peak with 1,591 meters above sea level. It's also part of Kriška Gora. And on top of it, it's really beautiful table, some kind of picnic table with a great view on Staršić, but this image doesn't show the view on Staršić. This is Staršić. It's one of higher mountains. It's more than 2,000 meters above sea level, and it's a mountain that I want to visit soon because I have been watching it for all of my life from my house, and I never managed to experience it. Somehow it's not destined to me. So the peak between the higher one, which is in cloud, and location that I was taking the photo, there's Tosti Vrh. Tosti Vrh is on 1,700 meters and something about sea level. So this is the view towards Ljubljana Valley. Oh, so this is the trail forward to Staršić, just a view from it. It's really nice because it's basically rocks and pines. So the view back, the top, the peak there, it's location where I was drinking my coffee that I was showing the gliders video from. So it's not much of ascent. And here's some cute frog because it was after rain, few days after rain. So I think that's why she was there. So I also managed to catch the sunset view at some point on Kriška Gora, and the mountains that can be seen on this picture are Julian Alps. So this is the peak between trees that looks like a cloud, is actually Triglav, the highest mountain of Slovenia, which is also the part of Julian Alps. And because the sunset hike is in the evening, and if you're waiting for the sunset, there's a high chance that you will be walking in the darkness. So this is how it looked when we were walking towards the valley. So it was basically dark, but this is the picture from the forest. Usually you can see the city from here just because of the lights. So this is, those are also daily photos from Kriška Gora. I think that those are from this week. And here on left one are also some pics of Julian Alps, nature, how is it at this time. So some flowers, those flowers are growing on top of the mountain. So finally we managed to come to Retitovec that I was promising before. Retitovec is location where I was supposed to be today to await the sunrise, but unfortunately we're not there. But still, luckily, I have some photos from there. So Retitovec is a part of Škofja Loka and Cerkno Hills. It's quite interesting mountain because it also had iron mine in it. It used to be a mine of iron many years ago there. So some parts are still accessible, but it's not open, of course. On top of, on peak of it, it's a hiker's cabin. It also has a bivouac shelter uh, for bad condition and when it's not safe for you to proceed or return. So it's quite new one and it's a really nice one. I have seen it, but luckily I never had to use that. And of course, as it's common on Slovene mountains, also pasture. So this was the view when we were hiking up the Titovec during the night, because we were trying to catch the sunrise and moon eclipse, because it was really interesting night for moon, and it was full moon, sunrise and moon eclipse. So this is how the morning started, when there were already some lights still when we were hiking up there. So this is sunrise, but not yet the sunrise, because sun didn't come out of the mountains yet, not come out from behind. Oh, this is moon. Here was still visible on the video where I showed the sunrise. You will see that there's no more full moon because it basically disappeared. This is the view on Triglav before the sunrise, but it's quite bright already. So here's the photo of sunrise already happening. So I think it may be a bit loud because of the wind, because the mountains, it's really windy usually. And on another side, there's no more moon. Now the right one. Oh, so there were some questions. I couldn't access the chat before because I had some problem. I think that it's so Frida was asking how long does it take to get on to the top of Kriška Gora. It depends on which trail are you choosing, how the trail itself is, because after rain can be really slippery, and sometimes it can be really loose. So it's safer not to go really fast, but I usually have 45 minutes to 50 minutes, it depends. Frida, thank you for the question. So now here's the time lapse of sunrise, but I think that it's working. So this was it. It's not good quality, unfortunately, and it was basically just experiment. So this is already on our way to Altemauer, which is the highest peak of Ratitovec, and we can see some nearby hills. So this is the view from Altemauer, which is the highest peak of Ratitovec on 1,678 meters above sea level, and there's really perfect view to Julian Alps and parts of other Alps. So it's amazing. That's why it's popular for the sunrises. On another side, okay, so this is me on the Altemauer, still poorly dressed, like wearing the blanket because I was cold. And here's the view from like how it looks on left of the path. Now it's already descent from Ratitovec. We took different trail to go down. We basically made a round trail. I like it mostly that way, so that's why I usually choose mountains which have this option, so that you can see more different point of views. Some rocks on the left one, it's some rock about the trail itself, and on the right photo it's really beautiful rock next to trail. I had to make a photo of it. It's so beautiful in my opinion, and of course. So now we have Planina Vogar. Planina Vogar is not really high mountain in Julian Alps, but it has great views on Bohin Lake. It has two viewpoints. One is paragliding takeoff point, and another one is on another side of the hiking cottage, 3 minutes away from the hiking cottage, that has a bench of love and amazing view on another side. We will see that on pictures, on further pictures. The mountain has a lot of well-preserved architectural heritage, and it's appropriate for families. It's also accessible by car because it's road leading almost to the top, and on the top of the mountain there are many pasture, but the buildings which were used in past by shepherds are now mostly changed to weekend houses. So this is the view from my starting point. I go to Vogar every Saturday because I work there, occasionally because I'm freelancer, so I have opportunity to do great jobs, various jobs, and also jobs in mountains as this one. But it's also accessible by car, but I decided to walk there every time that I work there, because I think that it's my mountains are not made for driving uphill; they are made for walking. So this is the same, actually similar picture, just in different weather conditions. I think that it was 1 week later after the first one. So this is the first one, second one. So this is the view from paragliding takeoff point, but we can't see the lake because it was clouds were below the point itself, but we could see the whole cloud lake. So it was really amazing view and view on mountains which look like some kind of islands on clouds. So this is on opposite side, and here's panorama. So this is the location that I was talking about before, the viewpoint with the bench of law. Here people usually take selfies and photos, and couples are taking photos because the bench has a heart on it. But for me, it was more important the view. So weather was quite nice. Oh, this is the last time when I was going walking on Vogar. So it was not as cloudy as the second time, and it was not like good visibility either. So, but it was still a nice view. It's always a nice view, except when you end up in fog. So Compostela, this one was the hike from this Sunday actually, so it's quite fresh. And Compostela is 1,989 meters above sea level, and it's part of Kamnik Savinja Alps. It offers beautiful views on Kamnik Savinja Alps, on higher mountains, by which is surrounded by, from another side. It also has pasture on top, which is quite common in Slovene mountains, as I said. So this is the first part of the trail. It's quite nice. Its terrain is quite comfortable, but later it changes to a lot of rocks, so it's not as pleasant as on this photo. So this is one view from a bit more higher. We had no luck with the weather conditions. Weather was quite bad. We even had rain, and after that part of trail that I showed the picture, we actually could feel some sliding on some rocks because it was fresh. Another hiker, she said that it was raining like 15 minutes before we reached there, but there was no rain when we were there, but we experienced the rain probably 1 hour later. So this is one of the views. Still Kamniško-Savinjske Alpe, here we are still quite low. So this is the view on Smučišče Krvavec. It's ski resort Krvavec, and I think that that's the highest point, but I'm not sure. So this is look toward the valley. Oh, on our path we there was a cabin, like shepherd's cabin, and there was written buffet, self-service, so which means like self-service bar, and there was different types of drinks, even the refrigerator, and I think to put in some money as you decide to give. So it was great. We took a bit to cheer to get more courage for the further walk and not to get cold, of course. But it's the winter. I probably also in other mountains it's common to have something stronger on top, but this was not. It was quite good liquor. It was not something really strong that could make me feel dizzy or something. So here we were proceeding towards the top. It's quite long hike because for average, which is I think families with kids or people that are slower, it's marked 2 hours and 35 minutes from the location where we started, but we were walking less to the peak, but it's still quite long walk. We made 15 kilometers in total when walking, because to reach the peak we had to go all around. So some fog. Oh, and those are really nice rocks on the left. It's amazing. It looks like it doesn't belong on this mountain, but it does. It's a part of it, so it's great. The structure is amazing. And on the right is one rock that reached that location at some point. Luckily, probably nobody was there. I hope so, but it was probably many years ago. Some more photos from the trail, the views from the trail. And the fog was quite quick, like clouds were changing a lot. So here was raining already. And some more views from the pathway. And here we were almost on top. So here are signs for different further trails, because this one it's also round trail. You can do it round and it's a really good one. So on left is Compostela, the mountain that we were hiking to, and on the right it's a sign for Mokrica. But Mokrica has a triangle, which means that the hike itself it's more difficult. It's not so easy. This is the view from the top. We had luck when we were on top that the clouds were not so low anymore, because weather was changing. But it was like this was the first photo and this was the second photo of basically same mountains, and it was changing so quickly. This is panorama of whole view. Oh, so here will be the bird. Almost at the top of the screen, you will be able to see some kind of crow, but it was really big animal. It's some type of crow that lives in mountains, and I apologize, probably my voice will be able to hear. And it's Lewin, because I was making a joke. I sometimes have discussions with the animals that I see. So So he's coming.
Zdravo, črni gospod. Kako si? A lahko pridem bližje? Sam ne me poklatati, kam šlo v dolino.
So basically I said, don't fly into me because I will fall into the valley.
Kako je lep.
And he left. Some more views. Okay, so we proceeded further. We decided to try doing round hike, but when I was doing my research about the hike, there was mentioning, some people were mentioning the round hike, but there was some lady that was mentioning that there is some part of few meters, just few meters of iron string, like via ferrata, and that concerned me a bit, but not that I would have fear of it, but because we were not prepared for that, because basically I took with myself the equipment for via ferrata. I took my harness and via ferrata set, but I didn't bring the helmet because I didn't have space in my backpack. And what concerned me is that when we saw the signs for the path, it was marked with triangle. So I mentioned that to my friend, and we asked another hiker, and he told us that it's really easy, that there's just few meters of via ferrata, 5 meters of via ferrata. So we decided, after all, that we will go and do the round hike, but I couldn't find the informations and photos from the trail itself. So we decided based on our trust. So this is how the path was supposed to be. We were trying to reach Veliki Zvok, which is the top of the ski resort Krvavec. So this is already a photo from the path. Oh, so yeah, this is one of the views, and the further views, I don't have any more not much photos, because I was really careful most of the time to watch below my feet, because we were walking all the time on peak of the mountain, like the path was on peak mostly. So sometimes it was quite steep. It could be dangerous if I would be looking at my phone and be taking photos, because I noticed that sometimes if I look in my phone camera, I start to feel a bit dizzy. I get a bit of vertigo, but I don't. I notice that just when I look in my phone. So I decided not to take many photos, but here was the surprise. So at the beginning, the left photo is where I was still making jokes. Oh, this is those 5 meters, we're climbing, and I was sarcastic with my friend, we're making jokes of it. And then further, we couldn't see what's further when you descend from that one. We couldn't see what's going on, and that the first part was actually around 5 meters or so. But after the first part, there was the almost vertical part of Via Ferrata. It was on the photo, it's not visible how steep it actually is. So I protected myself with Via Ferrata set and harness. And on second photo on right, I'm just starting my path towards the steep part. So this is approximately how the parts of trail were. We were mostly walking on top of that mountain. So here we already reached Veliki Zvok, which is, I think, that 1,971 meters above sea level. So when we were walking here, we descended just a bit, but the path itself, it went up, down, up, down. So when we reached our car, because from here we had still quite a long walk to do, we made 15 kilometers. So it was really good trail that we choose. So this is the view from the top of Veliki Zvok. On top of Veliki Zvok, I didn't add the photo, is the pool for making artificial snow. Oh, and this is the photo. In center of the photo, you can see the mountain flower, which is quite rare, and it grows on higher mountains. It's protected. And this is the photo that is a bit blurry maybe, but I was making it when I was still in vertical part of that short Via Ferrata. So those moments are actually the moments that are worth even conquering my fears, pushing myself forward, doing things that are out of my comfort zone, because walking on the edge of the cliff is kind of out of my comfort zone, but I'm still doing it. I focus and I try to do it as safely as possible, and I don't focus as a, like, I think that the mistake that people do when they're going to mountains is that their goal is to reach the peak of the mountain. The peak of the mountain should not be a goal, and the goal should be coming back to your car or your home alive and safe. So I try to focus on that, but I get to enjoy the views from the peak itself. So it's quite amazing. And I'm really grateful that I live in Slovenia at the moment when it's Corona time and we don't have much to do if it's less work. So I get to explore new locations, even meet some new people sometimes. Jessica asked if the trails are well maintained. Are they part of national park? And yeah, most of the trails are well maintained, but it can happen that at some points, for example, Via Ferrata can be parts broken because of some accidents that can happen, like mostly because of the weather, basically. Poor weather can destroy those kind of things. They quite often maintain them, and hiking organizations are in charge of that. Sometimes there can be problem with marcations, the signs, like round signs, and so that mark the path that you're doing, because they can be grown over with some grass, different plants, or simply too pale to notice. But there are also the cases as the one that I showed at the beginning, where there was basically nothing on site. So, but mostly the public trails are quite well maintained, and we also have really good website where people are sharing the conditions on different trails. So it's I'm well satisfied how they maintain them actually, but I always do check the comments of the hike if somebody wrote if that something is destroyed or if there are signs missing or not enough signs. About the question if they are part of national park, some parts of trails, it depends on which location they are, but as I said, usually the local hiking organization, like a local club, maintains things on path, also stamps on top of the mountains. Sometimes I don't use stamps, I don't collect stamps from the mountains, but I notice that people often are commenting on stamps and books of visits. There was a question if Julian Alps are the highest. Yes, the highest peak of the highest mountain of in Slovenia is located in Julian Alps, but in average, I wouldn't say so that they're the highest. It's really difficult to say because, for example, Kamnik Savinia Alps, they have a lot of high peaks. Jessica wrote that Slovenia looks really green and lush, and it seems like we get a lot of rainfall. No, we don't. But Slovenia is really green because we are covered. We used to be, I think that 68% covered with forest, and now it's around 60. But it's just the information from my memory. It's a lot of forests. We do get how much rain we get. It depends from year to year. In past, we used to have colder winters and hot summers, but this year it seems to be a lot of rain, so it's messing actually with my plans. But when it's hot, then it's bad to hike at the afternoon because there may be thunderstorms. But this summer, yeah, it's a lot of rain.
Yeah, I was very interested to hear what you had to say. I used to do a lot of walking in the bush, what we call the bush in Australia. When I was a boy, I lived in a very kind of up on a plateau. Anyway, when I came back to Japan, my first job was leading hiking tours, which I'd not done before. I was very interested to hear. Sorry, there's a lot of ambient noise where I live, a lot of traffic. Can you hear me okay?
It's okay.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it was very good, very good. All the points you make are very good advice for people who want to try hiking. And I used to lead tours, and we had all sorts of things occur. Not the least of which having to actually get a helicopter in to fly someone out once when they slipped and did their ankle. And yeah, I don't know. It was very interesting. It looks like lovely territory. I would love to visit with the territory you've been talking about. It looks beautiful. I wanted to thank you for your time. I don't know. What is the, yeah, I saw Julian, where, what is the highest of that territory you went to?
Where I was.
Yeah, well, some of that area you've been to, I was interested to see. It looks very, it looked very pastoral. Do you understand what I mean? Pastoral looks very, it means the area's been cleared. There are lots of pastures. It's not so.
Yeah, it is like that.
Woodland, or is it pastures?
Even in really, like, I'm surprised that I can see cows and horses, sheep on 2,000 meters.
Oh, really?
But not on, not on really high mountains. It depends on how difficult the trail is. So in Slovenia, you can find mountains that are quite easy and can be 2,000 and few hundred meters above sea level, which is quite high for Slovenia. But difficult one that are also below 2,000. So it's interesting.
That's a very nice presentation, Manca. Thank you very much for what you did, especially to cope with the wet weather. And I think she started doing the presentation last night when we decided that it's not going to be good to climb at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I didn't start yesterday, but I had some photos were just recent. So we were discussing this as a backup plan. I had something already, but it was the presentation itself. It was just like putting stuff from folder, which is 500 photos just from last few mountains. So that was a bit time consuming and last minute. So
yeah.
Well
Done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a nice day, everybody.
You too. Thank you.
You
Okay.
too.
Bye.
It was nice meeting you all. Have a nice time.